So microplastics are small pieces of plastic. Typically we define this as under 5 millimeters. So there's actually two different types of microplastics. There's primary microplastics and then you've got secondary microplastics. Primary microplastics, which are manufactured in this small size, and these are things like your facial scrubbers. Primary microplastics also include microfibers, which are found in your clothing. So if you've got nylon or polyester clothing and you put that in the washing machine, that's going to cycle through and go into the ocean as well. Secondary microplastics are your degrading of macroplastics. So macroplastics are the larger pieces of plastics, and in the environment they degrade over time due to UV or weathering and the ocean system kind of tumbling them around.
With the rise in microplastic pollution, what does this mean for our marine species and ecosystems?
Science has shown that microplastics are being consumed by filter feeders and other species, and then of course these species get eaten by others up in the food chain. And so these microplastics that hang around in our water, they actually act as sponges, and they soak up all the other nasty chemicals that we might have already polluted in the oceans. And so when an animal eats this plastic, there's a chance that they might be absorbing these chemicals into their tissues. And so if we were to say eat mussels or other seafood, there's a chance that when we eat our seafood, are absorbing these plastics.
With the devastating effects microplastics and microfibers can cause, is there actually any local plastic pollution around Hobart or the River Derwent?
So we did a study back in 2017 that looked at if there were microplastics in the sediment in the Derwent estuary. And so we took sediment cores and aged all the different layers, and we found that there were microplastics in every single layer of sediment that we analysed. And of that, around 80% of the microplastics that we found were microfibers. So there's lots of different sources of microfibers. One of them can be shedding off ropes and things that are used for fishing or to tie up boats. And another one is coming off clothes when we wash them, and they get washed down our drains and can eventually end up in our oceans and in our rivers. So the best ways we can reduce microplastics are following the 3 R's, which is refuse, reduce, reuse, repurpose and recycle. So we can look at different products that don't contain microfibers and microplastics and choose products that have organic versions of that, which are really good. Trying to reduce our use of them.
In my humble opinion, there is always time to do something, right? It's better doing something to prevent the problem to become worse than actually just sit because the problem is already happening. I would say that it's really, really hard to come up with a solution to take all the microplastics that we have in the ocean out of the ocean. That's really hard. But there are some really good initiatives on how to remove the big plastics from the environment, which are the major cause of the microplastics. So if we find more and more people willing to do that, or companies willing to support initiatives to remove big marine debris out of the ocean, that would be already like a big, really major step.